Good morning, everybody. What's up? How's it going? Nice, bright, and early morning. 5:30 couldn't be any better to get after the markets today. This morning, we're going to catch something real quick. We do have some news coming out, and it's existing home sales. And because, even though that's some high pack news, for me, sometimes I forget. So we're going to do this together as we pop up we're going to pop up some AI, get us to tell us a little bit about this. So let me get this a little more organized here, a little scatterbrained. But good morning, everybody. I hope everybody has their coffees. And then I'm going to show you, take some sips, relax, settle in. I'm going to show you what I'm looking at today for setups. And then I'll leave you be. And then you guys can go chase down the other live streamers. All right? All right. Yeah, you feel that instant relief of coffee. It's like, oh, feels great. All right, so here we are today. Let's pull up. We're just going to pull up MES today. I feel like trading some indices today. Today's the day. I am going to get rid of this, and I'm going to get rid of this because that was from the other day. We're going to pop on over to our calendar again. Oh, 7 o'clock, huh? I thought it was going to be 5:30. Well, good news, guys. We don't got to worry about it. That means less news is involved during this morning trading session. We just got this existing home sales. But let's bring it up in general. Let's think about it, right? We have existing home sales, and it's based on, I guess you can guess it, right? Existing home sales occur when the mortgages are closed. Mortgage closure usually takes 30, yeah, okay. Sometimes 30 to 60 days. Just depends. I know our house took a while. So really it's just the selling of homes, which I guess that could be good for a lot of contractual businesses, lumber, all those things, because contractors are building into that. You're starting to look at, oil probably has an effect on that as well, because the cost of those folks to do that job in general. I could see a lot of different factors there. You could probably play a lot of different stocks, I would assume, just based on that data alone. But this is not financial advice. I'm just one of y'all. We're all doing it together. So let's ask my best friend here. I'm always in the mood for asking Grok. We'll do the S&P 500. That would be a lot easier for data. So here's the thing, right? We talked about understanding news, data, and things like that. This is a great way to do it, right? We have all these resources on the internet now. You can get access to instant information. This will help you. This will help synthesize the time for you and make it, while this is running, it'll make it that much faster. Make your learning curve that much quicker, and it makes it simple. Helps you understand different things. And then after a while, you start to become like, Moe, who's had, decades of experience. I've only got maybe less than a decade. And I start to remember a lot of these things, and you will too as time goes on. So let's look at this here. If I zoom in, released, yeah, we read that. High impact news. Why it matters, right? Closed home sales, single condos, about 90% rent transactions on a seasonal adjusted annual basis, along with median average. Okay, we don't need to know that. Come on, give us what we want, right? It's good to know. House divided subject economy through house turnover, buying triggers spending on furniture, appliances, renovation. See, that's what. Okay, right? Contractor builds. If the higher the homes, then I guess you can see that in appliances, furniture. So I mean, companies like LG, I would assume, Samsung. Okay, but it's sensitive to mortgage rates, affordability, and it's a good signal of consumer confidence. That's a good one to know, right? Because if they're not buying homes and they're not, and I think we're kind of in a stall right now. I know there's a couple homes that have gone up for sale, and they've been for sale for a long time, specifically around me. What about you guys? Have you guys noticed like an increase or a decline in home sales just in your neighborhood? Have you seen it going up? Have you seen it going down? Is there that one house on the end of the block still for sale? Let me know. Let's get a general view of the United States and around the world. Tell me what you got. Should drop it in the chat. If you can't drop it in the chat just yet, and you're like, Chris, it's not working, don't worry. All you got to do is subscribe to the YouTube channel below. Okay, I set it up that way so that I don't get any crazy people in there, even though we're all pretty crazy for doing, this type of work. But yeah, you just go in here and subscribe to the channel. So I got the live stream in here. I'm gonna pull it up. I don't get. Okay? Go down here. Hit subscribe in here. It'll be right here. Mine says this, but if you go to subscribe, it'll pop up. All right. But back to our science. They sell pretty quick there. Really? Wow, Scotty, I'm surprised. Yeah. We've had a slowdown up here in Washington. It seems like I've had about 5 different homes. I've had about 5 different homes just in our area that have been on the market for a very long time. But, we did have a pop just recently where it was just expensive, right? Homes were just out astronomically expensive. And that was like that right after COVID type thing. The home prices started to go up because people were buying more. And in our area, we're up in the woods, so there's not much availability. With that availability, price goes up. And then interest rates were really low during that time, and now they're starting to creep up a little, but not as much. But that's crazy. That's a good thing. What's the average home price over there? Maybe I'll think about moving. Because I was looking at Texas, and man, do they have a good deal for contractors down there. You could pretty much buy 3 acres in a 5,000 square foot home for like 300 grand. That's like bar minimum up here in Washington. I mean, holy crap. That's a good deal. It made me want to move to Texas, but man, there's not a lot to do in Texas. Not for at least outdoor stuff like I like to do, and taking the daughter out and going hiking and rock climbing and all that fun nonsense. So definitely quite wild. All right, so let's get back to this, right? It influences expectations for the Federal Reserve policy. Yeah, I mean, that's the consumer confidence. It probably helps them a little bit. Not as much as the CPI, but it helps them. Let's see, the impact. Indirect and direct, whether one-to-one driver. See, not as market moving as non-farm payrolls, CPI, and FOM decisions. See, so that's a good thing. We're not going to see a crazy move after this data is released at 7 o'clock, but it's something to keep in mind that if you're going to trade one of those stocks, or one of the companies that it is talking about, or not talking about, one of the utilities it's talking about, it's a good possibility we could have a little bit of movement based on that data. But let's keep it simple, right? Transition channel, surprises can be triggered first in bond deal. Oh, look at that. But surprises can trigger surprise can trigger volatility first in bond yields, then in equities via sentiment and policy expectations. So it starts to drive policy expectation towards, okay, if the consumer confidence is down, then we're not looking at more rate cuts, or we could be looking at more rate cuts, I would assume. So here we go, right? Stronger than expected sales signals economic resilience, consumer strength. That's less dovish and more hawkish. Why would we cut rates if people are buying? Excellent. Treasury yields rise. We get discount rate for stocks, generally negative for the S&P. We get strength on that. We get a heat. It's almost the same as the CPI we were talking about the other day. That will be negative. And I'm assuming, and this goes for gold as well. With that being said, you'll have more downturn for gold. If we get weaker than expected sales and, it's starting to slow down, they may be thinking about cutting rates. Then bond yields fall. See, isn't that crazy? I didn't even ask it about bond yields. And I talked to you guys about that yesterday. That's why it's important to watch those as well, because they make a huge difference in our trading. They make a huge difference in understanding the direction, fundamentally, where the markets could move. So we got lower borrowing cost, higher equity, so often positive. So that's great. So there we go. Now, let's see. How can we play that, right? Let's see what's expected today. If we come on over here, come on. There you go, mousy. Looks like today that it's forecasted to be higher. So it's coming in hot. They're guessing that it's going to be hot. With that being said, if that comes in hot and the rest of core inflation on Wednesday comes in hot, we're going to see a nice tick down in gold and the S&P and crypto. And that's just on the fundamental factors, right? That doesn't include the Clarity Act. That doesn't include, the war coming off. I think if the war comes off, that'll help ease inflation a little bit. But we're gonna take a finding and see. This week's I wouldn't say this week's any more important than any week in the world, but it's an important week because of so much going on, specifically for traders. I feel personally, myself, this week is it's not challenging to trade, but there's been so much whipsaw of back and forth in price action. We've been having issues trying to have a clear direction of trend unless news has been released. Like last Friday, we saw the huge sell-off. News came in and data came in, and then we had the sell-off because we're getting direction now. We're getting told where things are starting to move. That's the same thing here with the war. We're getting contradictory type information between like safe haven demands, like with gold specifically. Since we're trading gold, it's a lot of contradictory information sometimes. Its traditional sense it's going against itself, even though it's a hedge against inflation. So that's where it gets confusing, and that's where trading gets hard. But if we can follow this, keep it simple, stupid kind of thing, then we're going to be good to go. So let's look at ES. Let's get this set up so you guys can get out of here and jump on to the next stream and see the other folks before the market gets too wild. I'm going to go on the 1 hour time frame to start us out. I think we are making new, so we had a low, right? We are already the 50 crossed the 200. So this is a bearish trend right now, right? I can see us staying in between this zone. Oh, everybody's back. Sorry, kicked out. Does that in the morning. Even the machine didn't have its coffee. All right. We're having a zone right now, and that's because of the data that needs to be released. So what's a way to trade this, right? You have to pick your entries and exits and however you want to do it based on your risk management, but you can tell there's obvious support here and here so far. So I'm going to put a little line in there, right off the bottom, right off the bottom. Okay, so we know this is support because it hit, and now we're popping up. We did that dead count bounce that Mo talks about as well. Popped up, rejected, and sellers tried to take back over. And we had support here. We had green. We had people pushing up. And that was last night at 9 o'clock. Okay? So we're going to see here, if you're looking for longs, I'd be looking for something, ideally you'd want to look in areas of support, right? Where the possible most probability that you're going to have a good push back. And so I'm going to be looking at taking longs. If I do, probably around this support line, and it just may take time. There's no, me getting in here is kind of like the gambling effect. Yes, I will say, if you're following the bread recipe right now, would not be a bad idea, because we're above the 50 EMA. We're crossing above the 50 EMA. The 12's starting to push that way as well, right? And we're above the 50 or the RSI here. So this would be a great bread recipe. My only concern, right, is this candle. This candle on the 1 hour opened up below the body of this candle. What do I mean by that, right? This is the body candle. And if it would have opened up above this, it would have been like this candle and this candle, right? This candle's bottom and this candle's top. This candle's top, this candle's bottom. This bottom is higher than this top. So there was more buyers to pull it up. Right here, we don't have that. It started and opened at the bottom of this candle. So we're in kind of, if we go on a really smaller time frame, we're in sideways action right here. So that's why if you were to take this now, you have to make that decision whether this is your perfect opportunity or not. For me, I'm going to wait until we hit this. Is the market going to drop? That's like 20 points by the time it reaches here, maybe. It's 15 from 50. That's like 35 points. I could see it doing that. At New York Open, I've seen it, and it happens a lot. I mean, look at this candle here, right? This was at 9 o'clock. This is a is a 40-point movement, right? It's a 40-point movement just at New York Open, at a traditional New York Open, and sometimes it moves more. So I could see it taking out all of last night, which is, remember, Asian session is from 1800 to about 2 o'clock right here, this section here. I could see it taking out all of that just to retest some of, to take some liquidity and get a further move up. Obviously, it looks like we're moving up. So, and with the S&P, it's always going up at some point in time. So it's always better to stay safe and sorry. So I could see maybe some fake outs down to here. That would be my ultimate entry. Now let's bounce down to what's going on. If we wanted to short this, right? I couldn't really consider this as a nice resistance for sellers, or a nice support for sellers. You could throw a line in there, especially with the news data coming out so soon. There is a possibility we could be looking at a wedge here. We have a wedge pattern, right? The line comes here, and we have a ascending wedge. So a breakout of any of these tells us our new direction. But here's the thing, with this, it can be ever changing. That's what kind of is funny about trend lines and stuff, is it can be changing. The markets are dynamic, so your trading should be dynamic as well. There should be no reason for you to leave this here and be like, nah, I'm going to leave it here, and it broke out, then came back in, broke out, came back in. Maybe there's a new level of support, so you can adjust your support line to represent the new levels of support. Always remember, it's never static. It's never static. So this is kind of the thing I'm looking at. This is would be key areas that I'm looking at for today's time frame, right? We could just stay in limbo this whole time. So you could scalp this as well as another trading strategy. You know, it bounces here, you get in an entry, and you exit just south of this trend line, and then you could, if it rejects back down with a good candle confirmation, right? You could sell that back down to here, and people do that. That's an option. You can trade within this. So that's what I'm looking at for the S&P 500 today. So, right, if you wanted a number, this is not financial advice. I'm looking at maybe 7,420. By the time it reaches this, I could see 7,420, or just north of that or south of that, which would be about 7,413, right? Because we only got 1 hour. Yeah, so you'd probably be about in this range. Yeah, so about 7,412, 400. Be looking here. Here, let me do this. This is not an actual play I'm taking, but there you go. Just a market, right? This is where I'm looking. I guess I could do this. I'm going to put just a little indicator just above it. It'll send me an alert here so that I know if it drops down, or actually I'm going to do crossing at any time. I know it's time to take a look, wait for confirmation, and enter. So that's what I'm looking for. Vice versa here. I'm going to put a alert on this trend line here. Crossing. We'll do once per bar close. No, I don't think we're going to have a breakout just yet. I'm going to do once per minute, so it's annoying, and just touching it at all. So crossing the line. You can do crossing up, crossing down, greater than, less than. That's if we're looking for a breakout. And I hope we don't have one today, but if we do, I'll still be able to see it. So there you go. So those are my two areas today, at least for the S&P 500. If you're a stock options trader, oh yeah, see, look at this too. You have the Bollinger Band tightening around this wedge. So it's just more confirmation that this wedge is, it's more accurate than we think. All right, and let's do XRP. All right, XRP. All right, so I did mark this out at the beginning of the week. Where's my mouse? There we go. I did mark this out at the beginning of the week as this is an area of resistance, and it's proven to me that it is. My area of resistance, because this is the wedge we broke out of, which is a daily wedge that broke out over a while. So why did I pick this? So I can double confirm. I'm going to do a fib retracement real quick. Okay. All right. I see. All right. So I know why. I picked this because this was the last pop high right here. This bundle of candles was the last pop high. And so I know this is an area of resistance, and that line was placed in there, or support for sellers, and it turned out true. See, it hit and it popped back down. They've tried to take back over, and it popped back down. Now we have the EMAs crossing back over. We're still in a bearish trend. So for this one, we're going to create a new line for today's trade. And it looks like we have this new level of support here for buyers. Let me just get this zoomed over a little better so you can see, right? This little section here is constantly up, bouncing, 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 resistance, bouncing, resistance, and may have a change of direction here because this is very traditional, right? We made newer highs, new lower highs. Not this one, but this one, right? We never made new lower lows. We made new lower highs, new lower lows, or new lower highs, new higher highs, new lower lows, new higher highs, and rejected. But we're still at a new lower high. This is traditional market structure. This is good for like people who scalp the EMAs. Perfect timing right here. But right here, we did not make a new higher high because we've met that resistance. So it'll be interesting to see where this candle goes. If we have a failure down, then I would be looking at, there's possibility for shorts. So you grab this. This is obviously some support here. We're going to get at least 3 of these candles here. There we go. So right here. Looks like this is what we're looking at for this pattern. So I'm probably going to look on this 5-minute time frame for XRP. And that's a great candle. I mean, that's a spectacular candle. But if you look here, we are now bearish on this trend. When I was talking to Gronk about the strategy and what have you, and I'll pull up that data, another live stream, it's once you start going against the trend, your odds of success, oddly enough, go down. Who would have guessed it, right? Yes, there's times when you're trading within a pattern and it's 50s below the 200 EMA, and you trade that pattern and that it works out because we're in areas of support and resistance. So it kind of null and voids the EMAs at that point in time. But the EMAs usually follow the general trend and the general sentiment of where traders are looking. But for this case, right, we're in that pattern right now, and we've been sideways. We broke down once on the EMAs, the 200 or the 50 going below the 200, popped back up, and the 250 going below the 200. We just had another huge pop. And look at these candles. Oh my gosh, these are nice candles. They're nice, right? So we had this. This is a nice hammer candle. It's a bullish candle. I can't get them all correct. But this is a good candle. We have more green at the top, a lot of wick at the bottom. Sellers couldn't take over. So I think I'm going to enter this trade, actually. This is going to be the one I get in, and I'm going to ride this up to the top. So with that being said, I got to go over to MXRP, and I'm going to buy. You don't have to do this. This is not financial advice, but this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to hold it until we hit the top of that resistance level. I'm just going to do 3 micros today. I'm in no rush. There we go. So I'm going to ride that up, and if we were to try and mark it out on this futures XRP calendar, right? So go to the 1 hour. Now expect some volatility, right? Market's not open yet, or the stock market's not open yet. That's usually when people start getting all spazzy. All right, there's going to be some downside. It's going to happen. So that's why you mitigate your risk, right? You only want to put what you're willing to lose. So if I can mark this out on the same one as last time, let's see what we got here. I think it was here. Okay, right? So if I'm looking at this trade, I know where my exit is, right? My exit's gonna be here. I'm gonna sell to there, and I'll have a stop loss below the previous swing low. Previous swing low would be this guy right here. So my take profits here, roughly about 150 bucks, and go here and about 100 bucks. That would be my swing. I would close 2 contracts personally. That's just what I'm gonna do, is I'll close 2 contracts at the top of this. If it blasts through, then I'll let one of them run, right? You should always let things run, but this is why I'm gonna set it. Now, right, I got that new kid. I could do this beautiful thing and set and forget. Leave it. Maybe I'll come back later. I'll put this down here too, right? Put that. Sell through. There you go. See, that sets it up. You could leave, go to work, go do what you got to do. That's what I'm doing. That makes it easy for me. I got stuff to do. If I get stopped out, oh well. You know, I'm not going to revenge trade and chase the demon. I'm just going to drink my coffee and go have some breakfast. Those are the ones we'll go over today because it's getting pretty close to 6 o'clock. I want you guys to go enjoy your morning. If you gotta still get some go get some breakfast, head off to work, do what you gotta do. Moe just posted his video as well, so enjoy that, watch that. And the other guys for the Earner Plus tier folks, they should be starting here soon. So if you pop on over to the Discord, I'm sure the guys are, yeah. Let's see, who's up? Who's up next? Yeah. So Andrew's in 4 minutes, and then you got paper trading with Jordan. So everybody's getting in there, and Moe just posted the video. So if you haven't, and you want to, watch my trades and stuff like that, remember, just go to the Get Notifications section and click on Colin Rice, and you'll get it when I do things like today. It'll notify you, okay? And you'll get stuff like that. The other thing is I've dropped more links and more codes. So I think Moe's doing his thing. I'm not, I'm on my own today, so this is not a paid thing. This is just me letting you know. If you go into the YouTube, you go here, I think he's using, it's code BREAD for 40% off. I know that for a fact. And then I have the links for all those if you want to join and you're only in the Earner, not the Earner Plus. Or if you're a free willing human being out there and you feel interested, feel free. Like I've showed you guys yesterday, I trade E8 markets, so there's a link there. And the code is Colin Rice. It just says it there. So, well, guys, that's what I got for you this morning. Thank you for waking up with me. As you can tell, my face went from to more bright and happy. So it's good to see you, and I